the growth of social media in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be here to launch softly the Malaysian Social Media Week for 2013. As you all know, social media has changed the landscape of everything that we do every day, in all walks of life. Not just people who use social media for social purposes, but the term social media has come to encompass everything, from businesses to politics to entertainment. And even recently, if you've been following the news about what's been happening in the United States, social media has not just been a determining factor in the presidential elections, but also in terms of how people responded to a natural disaster. That was Hurricane Sandy, which hit the northeastern coast of the United States. Social media proved to be a very potent and powerful tool for people to reach out for help, contact emergency services, reach out to friends and families, and also inform other people about how the hurricane had affected them. And it was truly then that I saw the impact and power of social media goes beyond just being a luxury commodity or luxury form of communication, but actually an essential part of how we live our lives today. In Malaysia, I think for me personally, one of the most favorite social media sites, or rather Twitter handles that I follow, belongs to Plus. Because as a member of parliament in Rembau, I have to go up the highway every day. And I check the traffic conditions all the time. And Plus has one of the best Twitter handles. And there's a hashtag KLTU, KL Traffic Update, which gives me instant snapshot of what's happening in the city. In fact, I left my house about 45 minutes early to get here simply because I saw on Twitter that there was a big jam. And I knew that there were people here who would complain on Twitter if I was late, like Stephen Doss. So, social media has transformed everything. 3 or 4 years ago, companies would not pay attention to social media. Facebook, Twitter, now Pinterest, LinkedIn, so many different other platforms. All these things 3 or 4 years ago were outsourced, not even outsourced, but social media was subsumed under corporate communications. Companies would usually get somebody who's already in their corporate comms department to look after social media. But as social media became more sophisticated, as social media became more populated in terms of its penetration, usage, and active communication, companies now hire people who are dedicated in looking after their social media property. Today, it's not just about Facebook. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, everybody was talking about Facebook, but it's no longer Facebook. In fact, I would say that Facebook is rather passé now in terms of social media. Now it's the world of tweets, it's the world of Pinterest, pins, Instagram, and so many different other platforms that we can't even imagine coming up every week. And really, it's user-generated content that you have to capture. Whether you're a company or you're a politician like myself, if you can't crowdsource an idea, if you can't crowdsource an opinion, if you can't put your finger on the pulse of a nation through social media chatter and what's generated on social media, then I don't think that you'll capture the essence of what young people and voters are thinking today. As far as we're concerned, the government and politicians and other leaders, as well as businesses, if you're not on the social media map, then you're not communicating with people. If you're communicating just through the traditional means, mainstream media, and all other traditional forms of communication, you're missing a form of A, cheap, and B, penetrative communication and channel that you can get to free and you can get to quite easily today. I'm, as you all know, quite active on social media, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter, and for my family, I use Path. I use different platforms attract different people, and different platforms reach out to people in a different way. You want to get something out very quickly, in a very succinct manner, of course, do it through Twitter. You want something more elaborate, you go for a blog posting, or you post it up on Facebook. You want a picture that speaks 1,000 words, you put it up on Instagram and make yourself look handsome because there are all these filters there. So even my ugly friends can look very handsome on Instagram. So all these things open up so many different avenues for communication. But the most important thing is, and I think this is what's important, what Chaihol's doing is very important, is to make sure that social media has a meeting place. It's all well and good that we meet in the internet, we meet in the virtual world. But you got to get people to come together as well. That's why in Twitter, it's no longer just fun, it's no longer just enough to talk on Twitter. Now you have tweet-ups. Everybody does tweet-ups. That's when people actually meet, put the face to the person, put the person to the tweet handle. This is the person that I've been dealing with. Sometimes on Twitter, you think you're talking to somebody who's really big, really tall, and you meet them and actually they're quite small. But it's always very good to put a real person to the tweet handle, to the photograph that you see on Instagram, to the Facebook profile. And I think one of the things that the Social Media Chamber and the Malaysian Social Media Week aspires to do is to try and make sure that this community is bigger than what you get online. Of course, online, that is the stress, that is the core function of social media. But you got to get the community to really work itself around it and to make sure that the social media community in Malaysia is vibrant and is responsible, and we get to educate as many people as possible as far as social media is concerned. Of course, I don't think anybody has a monopoly on morality. Nobody has a monopoly on the best behavior on social media. But I think it's best practices that are crowdsourced. If you get people together, I think you'll be able to find out what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I think this is the part, Dato', where I believe the government should really facilitate and get out the way. Social media and internet, we can't censor it. And we've said in our MSC Bill of Guarantees, we can't censor the internet and we can't censor social media. What the government should do is to facilitate this process, get people together, discuss best practices, see how we can fashion a uniquely Malaysian identity and culture from our very own social media. I don't think our social media will go completely crazy out of control, but it's about responsible reporting, it's about responsible sharing of information. You don't want rumors to be spread, you don't want false death notices. I know on Twitter so many times people say so-and-so dah meninggal dunia, and then suddenly that so-and-so will tweet saying, by the way, I'm still alive. So we don't want that to happen in Malaysia. We want to make sure that it's fact-based, you research it first, you double-check in reality. Not everything exists on Twitter, not everything exists in Facebook. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to speak for too long. After all, a social media world is only 140 characters long, and my speech has gone way, way above 140 characters. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Big round of applause to Shahul and everyone involved in the Malaysian Social Media Week. Best of luck for next year. Get the linkages going, not just in Malaysia, but throughout the region and across the world. The best we can see social media Malaysia link up with Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Brunei, the Philippines, all the countries in ASEAN. And you all know, Malaysians are some of the most social people in the world, per capita. I think we have the most Facebook friends, we have the most Twitter friends, we're the most kepochi, most sibuk people in the world. So spread that love, spread that kepochiness, and reach out to the world and say, this is Malaysia, this is the Malaysian Social Media Week. With that, I give you the Social Media Week Malaysia Soft Launch 2013. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amoruma. We'd like to invite you to kindly remain on stage. On my count of 3, gentlemen, you know the drill. Please place your hands on the ad ball. 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the MSMW 2013, the Malaysia Communication and Multimedia Commission, the Ministry of Higher Education, and our official social media monitoring by ThoughtBuzz, strategic partner PCOM. We'd like to invite representative from ThoughtBuzz, representative from PCOM. Thank you to ThoughtBuzz for being the official social media monitoring. And we'd like to invite representative from Taxi Monga. Thank you for being our online media partner. Shafiq from Motivation.my. You can follow him on Twitter and get really motivated throughout your day. Thank you, Shafiq. And ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to announce we have ambassadors who will be making our online event so popular offline and online at the same time. we would like to invite the man who's also going to be hosting Pimp My Ride Malaysia on MTV. Please help us welcome the one and only Ultimate. And Ultimate will be doing what he does best, keeping things loud at the MSMW Loud, the Battle of the Bands. We'd also like to let you know that we have on board Sashi the Don, Shazi Fala, Jason Lowe, and Joel, the CEO of Groupon Asia Pacific, who will be coming on board as ambassadors. Can we have that on stage, please?
Money, open up. Yo, I'm running through these halls like Drano. I got that devilish flow, rock and roll, no halo. We party rock.
Thank you, Berbahagia. And thank you to the Ministry of Information, Communications and Culture, Malaysia. We'd now like to invite Ultimate to accept a very special title from us. He will be in charge of the MSMW Loud Battle of the Bands. So let's officially appoint Ultimate as the man. He'll be making some noise on social media about the Battle of the Bands. So follow Ultimate to find out more. We'd also like to announce making some noise on MSMW Street Dance will be Sashi the Don, and on the World Bloggers and Social Media Summit will be our other ambassador, Sashi Fala. Sashi, he got here. I think, Sashi, you need to take Twitter handle advice from YB on the traffic jam alerts. Shashi the Don will be making some noise online about the MSMW Street Dance Challenge. So follow Shashi to find out more. And as usual, let's all have one big group photograph. This will be going on all the social media portals. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we got it. For joining us. Thank you, Berbahagia, and Ibrahim for representing the ministry. And we'd like to invite all our partners to join us for the press conference, which shall be happening shortly.
This is going to be a great, another great event. Getting all the Malaysian social media practitioners together to hype up social media. A lot of stuff going on the fringes as well. Battle of the Bands, street dance contest. But more importantly than that, advocacy, education of Malaysians as far as social media is concerned. And this is a tremendous opportunity for the country as well. The government through Ministry of Information is involved because I think Malaysia has one of the fastest growing per capita social media penetration in the world, in terms of Twitter, in terms of Facebook, now Pinterest, Instagram. And I think it's very important for us to have a sense of belonging with a social media week, to network with other countries who are also going to have their social media week at the same time in February next year, especially regionally. It's a great way for us to reach out, and also a great way for us to advocate effective and responsible use of social media for businesses, for politicians, for NGOs, for social groups, for youths. Effectiveness in how you reach out to people, the best way of using social media. It's not static, it's dynamic. And also the responsibility aspect of it. When you disseminate news and information, because more and more people are getting news from social media. So I think you have to educate people and expose people in finding out and checking, fact checking, source checking, what they read on the social media before they start spreading it. I mean, it can be a very powerful tool, as I said. In the United States, a lot of people use it for Hurricane Sandy to reach out to people, get information, call for help. And that's the sort of mature usage of social media that we want to see in Malaysia. A, reaching out for help, B, spreading information, and C, offer help to people who need. So I think they're doing the right thing now. More ministers are having a very social media friendly ministries where a lot of the information going out, they themselves are present on social media, not just tweeting about their appointments now, but interacting with people, engaging with people on social media, and I think that's great. And I think if you look at the penetration, the effectiveness, the number of followers that just say the PM has, I think he has one of the most, as far as the head of government is concerned, in the world. And I think this is a great sign for us, and we should take advantage of that. And the government should take advantage of that and be that facilitator to encourage positive, effective, and responsible use of social media.
Apart from yourself and as well as Rajiv, do you think other ministers has the increased engagement level as well? Right?
I think so.
Can more be done?
More can be done. Some are not doing enough, but more can be done. But I think it's a good step, not just PM, but also, Hisham's also quite active on social media. Some of the MCA guys, some of the younger guys, actively out there, not just putting out press releases, but also engaging with people and debating with people. And that's what we need. And I think now, on a slow news day, I think you have news organizations like Star, like Awani, combing through ministers and MPs' Twitter feeds to see if there's something worth quoting, which is a great way of doing it, because you don't have to call for a press conference, especially if it's something short you want to say. You don't have to call for a press conference, waste people's time coming there, having a press conference, spend maybe 2 hours, go have to back write it. Just tweet the thing out, and we know you're going to carry it anyway if it's interesting. So I think more can be done, and I think I'd like to see more ministers, more politicians, full stop, on social media. Of course, don't waste people's time, but engage with people in a way that people find it informative, and they say, well, even if I disagree with you, at least I know what you stand for.
Is it okay for politicians to be more personable on social media?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's, like I said, two things for me. One is effective, and the other one is responsible use of social media. Effective use of social media doesn't mean that you just tweet about work, politics and policies. I think if you want to get people to follow you, if you want to get people to be interested in what you have to say, they have to at least like what you have to say. And that means, being personable. Tweet about whatever interests you. Maybe somebody out there is a fellow enthusiast in whatever it is you're interested in. Football, stamp collecting, botany, angling, fishing, I don't care, whatever it is. Show that you're a human being, and people say, hey, this guy's a nice guy. He's got interests outside. So every time you come on the timeline, they won't ignore you. But every time if you come on the timeline and all you're doing is tweeting about your press release, or Facebooking about your function with people earlier, or putting up on Instagram some official function that you had with backdrop and all that kind of stuff, nobody's going to be interested. Maybe, post photos of yourself, candid photos of your family and stuff like that. It's personable. People like that. You have to understand, social media democratizes information. It democratizes engagement. There's no officialdom, there's no protocol, and treat it as such. Don't treat it as something official. It's not.
Oh my God.
Dirty bass, we so body. Too legit, we can't quit the party. Super freaks, no Illuminati. So 1, 2, hit the booze. We on YouTube, nothing to lose. So let it loose, cause the sheep don't sleep like pop, 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 pop. My body rocks the rhythm. You beat my drum hard. I might just kick it. You wanna lick it, rock it. We like to shock it. I like the way you smile. I might just bite your lip. I see you talking. Your hands are talking.
Gangnam Style.